All the action.
Big chance by Buddha hits top shelf. Right where Mama hides the cookies and the Red Army off to a fast start.
All the excitement.
It goes in! It goes in! Are you kidding me?
All the heartbreak.
Oh no!
It's Over 50 Hockey Talk on The Clyde and Cody Show with hosts Clyde Roberts and Cody James.
If you would have told me that week one we would have had a total of 26 goals scored, I would have laughed at you, Cody.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it either, man. You know, week one, again, like we were talking last week, I was anticipating low-scoring games, guys getting back into the mix, but give credit to that Black Aces team, man. They just knew how to turn it on in the third period.
Well, that wasn't the only team that turned it on in the third period either. You had the Blue Bombers that had just excellent offensive efforts throughout the entire game as we anticipated, and that was also something to show as well. But we will get right into that and more, as well as preview the week 2 matches. Clyde Roberts here with you alongside me, Cody James. And Cody, we look at this week 1 so far, and what stands out to you compared to the preseason?
Well, we looked at Mike Burr, who we knew was going to be a wild card heading into this first game, and sure enough, he breaks down things and he performs well with 2 goals on the game. The rookie has a bright season upcoming for him if he can continue to find ways to get himself implemented into this Black Ace offense, and I expect him to work well with Woody Borg and Tom Finley as well. I mean, you got options to consider with that, but then of course the complimentary supporters in Alan Williams as well. I mean, the season's bright for the Black Aces, but the next 2 games are going to be key on how they finish out or how they set the tone for this fall 2020 campaign.
And we look getting into that point with the first game of the Black Aces and the Golden Knights. Black Aces won by a scoreline of 7-4, but Cody, that game was 2-1 heading into the third period, so what happened essentially?
Well, you look back at that game, and I think that for the first 2 periods, you know, you had guys going neck and neck, because the Golden Knights are really not that bad of a team, you know, as some of the other critics will argue with that. But, you know, they kept well with the Black Ace team that, even when they had their scoring chances and opportunity, Mario Archikovic was shutting down the middle, not giving the Black Ace offense any room to breathe. And then on the defensive side for the Black Aces, the Golden Knights had a few chances, but they were constantly getting knocked down by Chewy. He's had an excellent game as well, but then just the third period with everything into fruition, that's when the Black Aces took off, and that's when you see the goals from Mike Burr and Woody Borg and Tom Finley come into fruition to get them rolling essentially.
You know, when I look at the Black Aces too, and this was a team where I did not anticipate this being a high scoring game at all, but then, like you mentioned, the Black Aces just turned it on and they just found a way to get the offensive mojo rolling. And you look at how they played as well. I mean, for Woody Borg and Tom Finley, both had a goal and 2 assists apiece. You know, it wasn't necessarily the scoring factors involved, and of course there were more that were in the scoring mix on Sunday, but for the Black Aces, it really shows you that they can turn it on at will.
And I think we were getting into a little bit of that in last week's podcast, but now we see after 1 game, this Black Aces team is for real, and you can't wait to see what they can do for future seasons. But against the Blue Bombers, I anticipate them to do the same thing and match up as well.
Well, we'll talk more about the Black Aces and the Blue Bomber matchup soon in the course of this show. But how about the Golden Knights though? I mean, they got 4 goals against a defensive-minded team. How do you praise them in that situation, Cody?
Yeah, well, the Golden Knights, they did well. And, of course, Wachowiak got 2 goals out of that along with an assist. And then Doug Radigan picking up his game, picking up 2 assists as well in that match. I mean, the Golden Knights, again, like I said before, and I'll say it again, they're really not that bad of a club. You just put them in the right position at the right time, and I think this team, as the season goes on, they're going to be turning a lot of heads here, because defensively, as long as they keep that piece up and give Archikovic the help he deserves, you look into the offensive standpoint, and once you get Jim Thomas rolling in the fall 2020 campaign when he returns, I really like the Golden Knights' chances at that point.
And to top it all off, Cody, despite giving up 7 goals, Ochikovic did end up coming with an 82% save percentage, and that shows you one of the reasons why he is more of the elite keepers in this league, because he will keep any team in the game as long as he can before everything takes its course.
Yeah, I really like Archikovic's ability. I think, again, sometimes it gets overshadowed based off the teams that he plays with, but at the end of the day, Archikovic is, no doubt in my mind, a top 2 goalie in this league. Even if you got some of the other goalies we've had in the past seasons, if I had the first or second pick, Archikovic is off the board by the second pick, because that is how he plays his game. That is how he steps up his performance, and he's a good vocal leader as well. We've seen it in week 1 too. He finds a way to get his guys motivated. He knows the right stuff to say to get his team fired up. And, not a lot of goalies have that ability to step up and have that captain mentality of, this is what we need to do, this is what we have to fire upon. And Archikovic just has that ability to get his team going, especially when you build his confidence up.
Yeah, and with the Golden Knights too, you look at the roster, and with Captain Jeff Quicko out for the first game, it's who was the voice that stepped things up. And from what we heard, Dave Wachowiak is considered to be the man who's an assistant captain on that team, and he's another guy, I think, Cody, that if he says the right things, he knows how to motivate players.
Well, you should know how to do that. Again, Wachowiak, as a 5-ranked player, has that unwritten responsibility to the team to just get them to gel together, know the right things to say to get them motivated, and to go out there and play hockey. Wachowiak is a finisher. That is half the battle, but in terms of getting the rest of his team to get on the same page, that is something I know that we haven't seen as of recent, because Wachowiak has had the luxury of just going out there, playing his position, and finishing with goals. Now, with the team that he has in the Golden Knights, he's going to have to step things up a little bit more from the leadership perspective. We saw a little bit of that opening weekend anyways, but with the next few weeks coming up, it's going to absolutely be key when Jeff Quicko comes back as well. David Wachowiak is going to have to take charge of this offense and find a way to get the scoring moving for their team.
And now shifting gears towards the Blue Bombers Red Army game, and of course the Blue Bombers. I tell you what, Cody, not very often do we see a team right out of the gate firing offensively, but this Blue Bombers team did just that with 10 goals, and I gotta be honest here, Cody, that's something I don't think we've seen ever in this league. And of course, we checked over in the statistical rankings. The Blue Bombers are the first team in over 50 hockey history on opening weekend to have 3 players produce 4 or more points. And if that doesn't tell you the future's bright with this offense, I don't know what will.
Yeah, I think we were anticipating that with week 1. And again, those 3 players, not surprisingly on that roster, Angelo Pontello, Wayne Webster, and Scott Helwin. Wayne Webster, Angelo Pontello, both getting 5 points apiece. And that is a game that I don't think I've seen Pontello perform to that elite capability in a long time. There's been times where he's had postseason performances that were absolutely unbelievable, but to start a season off with 2 goals and 3 assists, I mean, even back in fall 2019 when they played the Green Hornets in the opener, Angelo Pontello got a hat trick, but that was about it. There really wasn't anything spectacular from the assist perspective, but he really is one of the heart and soul pieces, one of the gear pieces of this team, in addition to Webster and Scott Helwin. And may I say this as well, Clyde, the communication was the one big thing I've noticed about this Blue Bomber team in the opening weekend. Scott Helwin, Wayne Webster, Angelo Pontello constantly communicating with the rest of the team on where to be, how to play positionally, where to go, keeping each other in check. This looks like a fun team to watch in the fall 2020 campaign.
Well, you got no argument there for me, Cody. That's something I've noticed as well. And the vocal leaders was the key piece in this offensive run, because you need to have the right pieces in place, and I'm pretty sure that's what General Manager Angelo Pontella was looking at as well. But as we talk about how great the Blue Bombers offense is, let's give a little bit of credit to this Red Army team that competed against them. I think the biggest surprise in the Red Army's perspective was not TJ Pish, not Michael Rossi, but their defenseman that has returned to the over 50 league in Steve Gorman. Boozy with 2 goals and 2 assists as a defenseman. That, to me, in opening weekend, is what you consider a 5 ranked player's performance.
Yeah, Boozy, man, just really turned it on opening week. I really didn't think that anybody was going to watch out for him. It certainly showed in the season opener, and I think that was probably the unexpected boomerang that came into this league, man. He is like the tsunami that no one anticipated, and everyone was completely blindsided about what he is capable of doing with the puck if he has to go and score himself, and that is going to help the Red Army this season in key situations. I firmly believe Gorman is going to be an intricate piece that can move back and forth between the defensive and offensive side.
In addition to Gorman, you had Ken Buda, who came away with 2 goals and 1 assist. And of course, we've known Buda to be a scorer, but it seems like the past couple of seasons, though, Cody, he hasn't been as prolific as he was when he played with the Grey Wolves back in fall 2019.
I have to agree with you there, Clyde. I mean, I'm trying to figure out a way to kind of support Buda in this situation, but ever since Buda's breakout season with the Grey Wolves, he just hasn't been able at this point in time to recapture that magic yet. Hopefully he's going to find a way to reclaim that magic, that piece, to get himself back into the Buda mix from the fall 2019 season. I really think he's got it in him. Just give him a couple more games to get back into the mix, and Buda is going to be just like we anticipated.
We'll step aside here for the moment. When we come back, we talk Week 2 matchups and previews and predictions and all that fun jazz with myself and Cody here with you, breaking things down, and we will get to the predictions as well, and we'll be back after a word from our sponsor. You're listening to Over 50 Hockey Talk here on the Clyde and Cody Show.
Introducing Integral Hockey, the world's best hockey stick repair system. Featuring patent-pending state-of-the-art technology, Integral Hockey has made it possible to repair today's carbon fiber hockey sticks and bring them back to life without compromising performance for a fraction of the cost of a new stick. This incredible system and technology speaks for itself. And once you take the Integral Hockey Challenge, you'll also see why people become instant and repeat customers. It's easy to imagine how this technology benefits everyone, including parents who cringe at the thought of spending upwards of $1,000 or more on sticks each season, junior, college, university, and pro teams who are strapped with exorbitant stick costs, and adult recreation players who also break sticks all the time. And let's not forget about the environment either, because with over 2 million hockey sticks produced annually destined for landfills, we're making a serious difference in reducing those numbers. Integral Hockey has also become the leader in repaired hockey stick sales, offering consumers the latest models at a fraction of the cost of new ones, because no one likes paying $300 for a stick. Now, the cost to repair a stick to the consumer is on average only $55. Well worth the cost to repair a $250 to $300 stick, and the cost of buying a repaired stick from us is $100 or less.
It's Over 50 Hockey Talk on The Clyde and Cody Show, with hosts Clyde Roberts and Cody James.
Welcome back here, folks. Clyde Roberts with you alongside me, Cody James. We are talking Over 50 Hockey Talk on the Clyde and Cody Show. And now, Cody, we switch over to this upcoming week's games, the Black Aces and the Blue Bombers, which at the moment in time two premier teams going at it on Sunday. This is going to really be an early test for this Blue Bomber team. They come out of the gate firing with 10 goals against the Red Army. Now they head up against a very defensive Black Aces team. Cody, how do you reckon this game's going to turn out when you look at these two teams?
Well, first for the Black Aces, you got to put pressure on their defense. And I think the Blue Bombers last week did a tremendous job putting so much pressure on the Red Army defense, and the puck control was absolutely beautiful to the point where the Red Army didn't see too many chances in the Blue Bomber defensive zone. They did a great job controlling the puck, moving things forward. The puck check, the check control on their lines has been absolutely gnarly. And I think now against a team like the Black Aces, they're not going to have that luxury because the Black Aces do a better job of containing people as well as keeping more of a defensive zone and coming out and attacking when they need to. That's what led to their 7-4 victory last week, and I believe they're going to be doing the same thing against the Blue Bombers this upcoming week. They know, or should I say Captain Tom Finley knows, that Angelo Pontello, Wayne Webster, and Scott Helwin are the trifecta of this team, and to find ways to shut them down or at least minimize their production rate is going to go a long ways for this Black Ace squad.
And, to continue that point there, Cody, you look at how their defense is, and like we talked about last week, you have defensemen like Brett Gargis, Woody Borg that just know how to set up the plays when they need to. They just know how to set up positionally, and if they need to, they'll take it themselves and score. They've proven capable of that before, and I know that they'll certainly do it again.
Well, that's the thing with a team like this, is even if, say, 10 guys show up for the Black Aces, it's almost like, Clyde, this Black Aces team would be better if they rolled with just 2 lines. But again, that's just not feasible because there are 13 players on each roster this season, and you gotta go with 3 lines. So unless if you got guys who are missing this week, the Black Aces are going to have to do what they can to work around 3 lines. And I noticed that last week against the Golden Knights too. I think the Black Aces would have had more scoring opportunities if they had just rolled with 2 lines, or if only a set of 2 lines show up, because again, between guys like Brett Gargis, Woody Borg, Paul Delano, Tom Finley, Alan Williams, Mitch Browser, names like that are going to show you that they are capable of playing, and they would get the right proper rest and know when to come back out for line changes, and they would just produce more. That again is a subjective opinion on my part, but I think that this team, from what we witnessed in week 1 alone, does a whole lot better with just 2 lines than versus having their full lineup there.
And it's quite the opposite for the Blue Bombers. Everyone but Jerry Coughlin showed up. It was 12 players, but they played like a complete team, and if you were to drop them down to 2 lines, I'm not exactly sure, Cody, if they would be exactly the same team, or at least be on the same level as the Black Aces when it comes to production.
Not at all, but at the same time, if you look at who potentially shows up on 2 lines, as long as you got the Blue Bomber trifecta in there with 2 lines, I think that that's a fighting chance anywhere you go, and teams know that it's every other line, you're either going to have to deal with Scott Helwin, Wayne Webster, or Angelo Pontello. But if it was the 2 lines, you're going to be dealing with one of them every single time they come onto the ice. Although you would ideally might want to put them together on 1 line at some point, that's taking a pretty bold risk of doing that, because then you have to try to find other guys who can set up and complement the other players on the different lines. And you see guys like Jerry Coughlin, he could step up offensively for this Blue Bomber team. You also got other guys on this team like Johnny Mudra, who has shown time and time again that they can step up as well into those offensive pieces and score. As far as this upcoming matchup, the Blue Bombers' opportunities are going to be very limited, and they're going to need to capitalize as much as they can on these limited opportunities, because if they don't, it's going to be a long day for them.
And you got right into the Blue Bombers thing a little bit more, but again, the Blue Bombers did have more opportunities against the Red Army, and they're certainly not going to have that many opportunities in the Black Aces. I just don't see it happening like that, unless if out of nowhere, Paul Delano has an epic collapse of proportions, or Woody Borg or Brett Gargis fails to do their proper job, I really don't see that the Black Aces are going to give stuff easily. If anything, the Blue Bombers are going to have a difficult time, I think, on the offensive side, trying to move the puck against a very well-paced Black Aces team.
And last but certainly not least, though, Clyde, you got to look at the Blue Bombers, too. Part of the reason why they were able to defeat the Red Army last week was they preserved their stamina, they stood their ground, stood their course, and played a complete 36 minutes of hockey. If they do the same thing here against the Black Aces, they most definitely have a fighting chance looking to come out and win games. But if they do not stay course, or if they try to throw the kitchen sink early or throw the first punches early, it'll be a long day for them when it comes to the back half of the game. That'll be the Black Aces' opportunity to step back, catch up, and score goals. Because mind you, again, in net is Stefan Borge. You don't give Borge the proper defense, the proper help, the Black Aces will eat him up alive. Because again, Woody Borg has proven time and time again he can take the puck himself and find the open part of the net to score. You can't put yourself in that position if you're the Blue Bombers to force Woody Borg to make those kind of plays. You have to stand your ground and just play a complete game, both on the offensive and defensive sides.
And now the Golden Knights and the Red Army. So as we're talking about the Blue Bombers going from textbook practice to now a hard opponent, the Golden Knights start their season off against a tough Black Aces team. Now they have a chance to regroup here against the Red Army team, also trying to find pieces of the puzzle to get back into the swing of things. And I'll leave the floor to you, Cody. You tell me how you see that game going on.
Well, first for the Golden Knights, and I'll say it again, Mario Archikovic with an 82% save percentage, that goes a long ways, because the Black Aces love taking shots. They had a lot of shot opportunities, and yet Archikovic still only allowed just 7 goals off an 82% save percentage. That speaks volumes. Against the Red Army team, you don't have the same exact goal scoring capabilities, because again, you have TJ Pichet, Michael Rossi, Steve Gorman, and Todd Duncan's going to be returning as well, so I expect Duncan to take shots, but I just don't see how the Red Army are going to change anything or score more than 6 or 7 goals off of Archikovic. It's going to be a tall order, but the Golden Knights defense are going to have to give up a bunch of opportunities just for the Red Army to see those chances go in their favor. But getting back with the Golden Knights, though, I think this is an opportunity where they regroup, reset their things, and go out there and play the game that they want to play. And defensively, they just need to, again, watch out for Pichet and Rossi, because we saw a little bit of their passing last week, and they did, mind you, keep up with the Blue Bombers as well as they stood their course up to 6-5. It's just, the question for the Red Army I have, Clyde, is do they know how to play the end game? Do they know how to finish in key critical situations? And this Sunday is going to be yet another test for the Red Army to see if they can do that against the Golden Knights squad that's rejuvenated and ready to go.
And for the Golden Knights as well, you look at how they took their shots last week against the Black Aces. A lot of it was in front of Chewy, and Chewy is able to stop those shots. I think this week, though, Cody, the biggest challenge is to try to get those corners, because again, Bob Gardner faced a lot of scrutiny this past Sunday with the shots, as nearly as 40 shots in one game. Against this Golden Knight team, if Wachowiak gets the puck a lot, I expect the shots count to be very similar to what they endured against the Blue Bombers.
Oh yeah, no question about that. I think that Gardner, again, this is his first game back in the new year in 2020, but if you give Gardner the right help, I think that he can definitely break things down and stop shots. But again, Steve Gorman is going to have to lead that defensive unit, and the rest of the guys on that Red Army team, whoever else is playing defense, will also need to step up as well and relieve the pressure off of Gardner. Otherwise, if you leave Gardner out high to dry, he's not a goalie that can do it by himself. He will need the help at all possible to at least cut off angles, cut off certain pieces of vision opportunities for the other team. in order to give him a best shot at stopping shots. So we'll see how Sunday plays out, but I really see this game as a second chance for both sides to see what they can do and build off of the positives that they had from Sunday.
And with that, just following through predictions, we'll start this time with the Golden Knights and the Red Army. How do you see that game playing out, Cody?
I think this is the opportunity where the Golden Knights are going to come back, rebound. They have the right scoring pieces in place. I see Wachowiak. I see Radigan stepping up as well. And then, of course, Ralph Pitts, the pickup man, because Tom Lafreri bailed out at the last minute. I see Pitts having a great game as well this Sunday, and I would be giving a win to the Golden Knights. Red Army, again, I still think they still have a ways to go, but they would have a fighting chance if they knew how to capitalize and dissected the Golden Knights defense. But with the opportunities that the Golden Knights have, again, with the players that they have, I just don't see how the Red Army are going to counteract the offensive efforts of Dave Wachowiak and Doug Radigan as well as Ralph Pitts.
And then for the Blue Bombers and the Black Aces side, you know, a big matchup, if anything. Possibly maybe even a preview for Over 50 Cup 31, if I do say so myself. But, Cody, how does that game go out? And even give a scoreline if you feel inclined to do so.
Well, again, after all that we've talked about with this team, you know, even with Jerry Coughlin allegedly returning for the Blue Bombers to make his debut on Sunday, I look at this game and based off the past performances, I think the Blue Bombers are definitely going to be humbled this week. The Black Aces just have the pieces that they need to with everybody showing up last week. And regardless if they have a full team or even just the two lines, I look at the Black Aces as prevailing, especially when it comes to the attacking opportunities. So if I even had to add a scoreline as well, I'd say that this is a 5-3 win for the Black Aces.
And you heard it here first from my partner Cody James. Black Aces, the favourites to defeat the Blue Bombers, and the Golden Knights looking to get their first win over the Red Army. Will that all play out to be just as it is? We'll find out on Sunday as we get rocking and rolling into week 2. Black Aces and Blue Bombers at 2:15 at the TGH Iceplex North Rink, and following the conclusion of that game is the Red Army taking on the Gold Knights. So we want to thank everybody for tuning in to Over 50 Talk on the Clyde and Cody Show. We'll be back again next Friday for more information and perhaps maybe even some more content that we see coming up. So looking forward to that and more. But for my partner Cody James, this is Clyde Roberts saying goodbye.